Hello, my friend, and welcome to Something for Everybody. My name is Aaron Machbitz, and today is a solo episode of the podcast where I'm discussing goal or target setting. Really, this episode is a masterclass on goal setting. So let's jump right in and let's really get after it. My favorite word in goal setting or target setting and success in general is clarity. There is a direct relationship between the level of clarity you have about who you are and what you want and virtually everything you accomplish in life. Successful men and women invest the time necessary to develop absolute clarity about themselves and what they really want. It's like designing a detailed blueprint for a building before they begin construction. One of the most important questions in goal setting or target setting is this: what do I really want with my life? If I could do or be or have anything at all in life, what would it be? You should return to this question over and over and over again in the months and years ahead, because self-trust is the foundation of greatness. We know that confidence means intense trust in oneself. So then self-trust is the foundation of greatness. Self-trust comes from listening to your intuition, to your still small voice within. Men and women begin to become great when they begin to listen to their inner voice and absolutely trust that they are being guided by a higher power each step of the way. Again, confidence, intense trust in oneself. So living in alignment with your true values is the royal road to self-confidence, self-respect, and personal pride. In fact, almost every human problem can be resolved by returning to values. Whenever you experience stress of any kind, look into yourself and ask, in what way am I compromising my innermost values in this, situation? So, we have to ask ourselves a few questions as we proceed into setting the appropriate goals and targets for our life. First question: so who are you? What do you really want in your life? These are big questions that need answers, not right away, not concrete, but some form of direction. That's why I like target setting, because you're moving in the appropriate direction, because direction is more important than speed. Things will change, things will evolve, you will grow as a human being, but you need to head in the right direction. So what do you really want in your life? Here's an even more important question that will start to head you on the right direction. What are your top 5 values? What do you really stand for? And then a way to start thinking about that is describe your vision of an ideal person. Write them down, jot them down. What's your vision of an ideal person? Their character traits, the way they move in the world, the way they stand, the way they look, their presence, their confidence. The person you most want to be. Start moving in that direction. That's your target. And then again, another way to start thinking about this is to write your own obituary. Write your own eulogy to be read by your friends and family at your own funeral, because it allows you to think about deeply at your own death, for what qualities do you want to be remembered? Again, we're thinking about a values-driven approach to who we are. If our identity is our repeated beingness, who are we being on a consistent basis? What are our first principles? What are our values? That's why we're describing a vision of an ideal person, or what we want to be remembered for at our funeral. Then we can start implementing and embodying those in real life and heading in that direction. That's our target for who we really want to be and what we really want in this life. And any other goal just comes with that. And Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow." S.K. and Diamantes said, "Find something you would die for and live for it." And then that moves us into motivation. There are really two kinds of motivation. You have intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is doing an activity simply for the enjoyment of the activity itself rather than its instrumental value. Intrinsic motivation is doing the thing because you love doing the thing. And then you have extrinsic motivation, doing an activity in order to attain some separable outcome. Extrinsic motivation is motivated by external rewards. Intrinsic motivation is rewarded by internal rewards. Loving doing the thing. Extrinsic motivation, you're getting something, money, fame, status, whatever the case may be. And most people think that you have to always be intrinsically motivated. Like that's the way to go. And now, yes, when you get down your path, like 80% of your thing, like if you're doing this thing that you really love, you found that target that you want to head for, yes, 80% of the time, we should be intrinsically motivated. We should just love doing the thing because the thing is awesome. We love the process. We love the work. We just love doing the thing. Yes, intrinsic motivation. But extrinsic motivation is extremely important for this activation energy to get you off of your ass. If you are extrinsically motivated by money, fame, status, whatever, that could be a great motivator to get you off your ass. Or if you're someone who has a family and you're motivated to feed your family or give your family a better life or buy them a bigger house, technically those are extrinsic rewards and extrinsic motivation, but they're not bad motivation. That's great motivation to get you fired up, to have you working a little harder, to move you in the right direction. But ultimately, you want to be able to then switch that to intrinsic motivation. So you're motivated by the love of your family, the value you bring to your family. You're just doing these things for your family because you absolutely love them in a way that's not extrinsically motivated, but intrinsically motivated. So we don't always have to be one or the other. At some point, we want to move to intrinsic motivation on a more often basis. But extrinsic motivation is an absolutely stellar piece of motivation to get us off of our asses. It's a great activation energy to start getting us moving in the right direction, because we know anytime we start something hard, getting to the starting line and making that first step is always the hardest thing. And so if we can use that extrinsic motivation to light a fire under our ass and move us in the right direction and actually get us going, then we build that momentum. And then that momentum turns into, oh, I love doing this thing. And now I'm intrinsically motivated. Holy shit, that's really good stuff. And so when we stack this intrinsic motivation, we're actually following our biology, which makes it better for us long term. And so when you stack this intrinsic motivation, you have autonomy, which means you have the freedom to pursue your purpose, right? You're moving in that direction of your target. You can have mastery, which is the skills to pursue that purpose. So you have autonomy and mastery. And then you have curiosity. It's that basic fuel. It's like, ooh, this is interesting. Ooh, this is exciting. So you have autonomy, mastery, curiosity. Then you have passion. It's that intersection of multiple curiosities. When you're thinking about what you're passionate about, it's the intersection of multiple curiosities, because curiosity is that basic fuel. Passion is the intersection of a few of those. And then you have purpose and passion, plus now you have a case that's bigger than yourself. So you have all of those things that add up to stack your intrinsic motivation that really follow your biology of autonomy, mastery, curiosity, passion, and purpose plus passion, which is really a cause bigger than yourself, which is what we're really looking for when we're thinking about the question of, what do I really want? I want it to be a combination of purpose and passion and something that really drives me and something that's intrinsically motivating so that I can move closer toward my target each and every day with the right values and the set of skills that I want to acquire. And so all of that moves on to what we just touched on, which is purpose and passion, which is about developing our MTP, or as I've come to know it be called. I learned this at the Flow Research Collective. They call this the Massive Transformative Purpose. You can just call it your purpose or your wildly important target or whatever you want to call it, or your North Star. Like, there's so many different names for it. I use a lot of them interchangeably, like wildly important target, North Star, and Massive Transformative Purpose. But I learned this from the Flow Research Collective. Urge anyone to check that place out. It's amazing. If you want to study the science of flow, that's where I really learned all about flow. And we're going to use some of that nuggets in here as we're understanding what our target and our goal setting is and how we can move forward to become that best version of ourselves. And so we're thinking about this massive transformative purpose, and we want to dial in our massive transformative purpose for this like limitless fuel, right? The alchemy of passion into purpose through our massive transformative purpose. So the first thing we're going to do, hopefully, since I told you this episode was a masterclass on goal and target setting, you got a pen and a paper and you're writing all of this stuff down and you're going through this episode 3, 4, 5 times to really hone in on the important information. So one, you're going to write down 15 massive global challenges: hunger, energy scarcity, biodiversity, cancer prevention, climate change, mental health, anything like that, right? 15 massive global challenges. And then two, you're going to be hyper specific about those global challenges: protecting biodiversity, establishing mega linkages to protect biodiversity, right? Tie these specific global challenges to your passion. Okay, remember we talk about passion plus purpose, a cause bigger than yourself. So tie these specific global challenges to your passion, and then use this to craft your massively transformative purpose. Has to be one sentence. Mine, my MTP, my massive transformative purpose is to end mental suffering. I've come up with that over the few years based on life experiences and where I want my life to go and all the things that I want to think about. So that's how you start to construct this massive transformative purpose, and then double check it, right? Double check your MTP. One, is it massive? Audaciously big and aspirational, you should probably 10x it. You should probably 10x it. Is it transformative? Massive transformative purpose can cause significant transformation to an industry, community, the planet, the world, everything. And then, is it purposeful? A clear why behind it that you're passionate about, something that unites and inspires action and is intrinsically motivated. You just love this thing. You have this fire in your belly and you think, well, why hasn't anyone else done it? Well, because you're supposed to do it. It's because you're supposed to do it. It's your mission. It's your purpose. That's why no one else has done it, because it's divinely for you. And that's how you start to think about your massive transformative purpose. And so your massive transformative purpose is your lifetime goal. It's your lifetime target, right? We said direction is more important. Direction is more important than speed. So if you have this MTP, which is sort of your umbrella for everything, it's heading you in the right direction. And then you think about, okay, what are my high hard goals? High hard goals are like 1 to 10 year span. And then you have operational chunked goals, which is like weeks to months. And then you have clear goals, which is your today goals, like your clear targets. And those clear targets, which are today, are always in your control. A lot of these other goals that I talk about are not totally within your control. That's why I also like to use the word target, because goals can be a little bit out of our control. Yes, we have control over our daily actions, our movements, our actions, our patterns, our habits, our systems, our process, all of that stuff. But ultimately, some things are out of our control. So that's why I like to talk about it in a target setting, because then we know I'm heading towards this target. I know I'm heading in the right direction. And ultimately, that's the most important thing. And so you break it down between your MTP, your high hard goals, your operational chunked goals, and your clear targets. And all of those things, we want to really, really focus on all of the things that are 100% in our control. That's why we're trying to be intrinsically motivated for the most part. And so then you think about stacking little wins. Like, that's how you do it. Stacking little wins is formula for plasticity. Plasticity is the formula for expanded capacity. And then clarity in your purpose and passion. Remember how we started this episode? Clarity. That's my favorite word when it comes to target or goal setting. So clarity in your purpose and your passion expands your capacity. And then when you have clear goals or a clear target, that equals flow. And I talked about the Flow Research Collective. The number one state, the most optimal state you can be in, is flow. And having a clear mission, a clear vision, and a clear target is a flow trigger. So it gets you in that optimal state that human beings can be in. And so then we move on to just some weekly or daily reflection about some of these things, right? We've talked about MTP, we've talked about daily goals, we've talked about clarity, who you really want to be, values you represent. And so it's important to weekly or daily reflect. And it's very simple on how we do this. It's called well, better, how. Well, better, how. You have to ask yourself just 3 questions, maybe every day, maybe every Sunday. It depends on when you want to do your reflection, but you absolutely have to do your reflection, or else you don't know how you're doing. You can't celebrate your small wins, and you can't pick out those little things that need improvement so you can continuously get better each and every day or each and every week. So, well, better, how? What's 1 thing, 2 things, 5 things, 10 things that you're doing well? On this part, you can write down as many things as possible that you're doing well at, that you're just crushing. What's going awesome? That's the first question. Next question is, what can we improve upon, or what can we do better? This is just 1 thing, especially if you're doing this reflection every single day. We can't pick a list of 75 things we need to get better at, just 1. Because then we can hone in, we can put our spotlight of attention on that 1 thing, and we can get better at that today, right now, or moving forward. So you have, well, what do we do well? List everything. What is awesome? Better. What can we do better? Okay, 1, maybe 2 things. And then the most important question is how. This is the action-based question. How am I going to improve upon this? What am I going to do that's going to allow me to improve upon this? What are the action steps? What are the systems? What are the habits that are going to that are going to help me improve upon this thing that I identified as something that I want to improve upon? So when we think about all of these things, our daily goals, our weekly goals, our massive transformative purpose, our identity, our self-trust, our confidence, we have to reflect. We have to weekly or daily reflect to know where we're at and where we're headed, right? That's why they're targets. I can't know where I'm going unless I know where I'm at. And so these reflections allow us to get a good basis, a foundation of where we're going. Then we keep heading in the right direction, because direction is more important than speed. So well, better, how is a very important, powerful tool to start reflecting on a day-to-day or weekly basis. And then we think about the single most important quality for success is self-discipline. Self-discipline means that you have the ability within yourself, based on your strength of character and willpower, to do what you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. Character is the ability to follow through on a resolution after the enthusiasm with which the resolution was made has passed. It is not what you want to learn that is decisive for your future. It is whether or not you can have the discipline for yourself to pay the price over and over until you finally obtain your objective or your target. Listen to that one more time. It is not what you learn that is decisive for your future. It is whether or not you can discipline yourself to pay the price over and over until you finally obtain your objective. The single most important quality for success is self-discipline. And self-discipline is a commitment to your future self. Self-discipline is an act of self-care, because you must persist until you succeed. It's also important at this point to come up with a definition for success. And for me, success means giving our best effort. But if we're talking about our goals and our targets, well, that means you must persist until you reach that goal or target. Because persistence is self-discipline in action and the true measure of your belief in yourself. Resolve in advance that you will never, ever give up. And that means accepting the cost of our goals, accepting the cost of chasing this goal. I talk about this with my athletes all the time. You want to be great. You want to play Division I. You want to go pro. Okay, that's your goal. That's your target. What's the price you have to pay? What's the price LeBron James and Tom Brady and Derek Jeter and the best athletes in the world, or the best performers in any domain, business, parenting, all of that stuff, what price did they pay to get to where they're at? And are you willing to do the exact same thing to get there? Because most people want that life, but they're not willing to do the work that got them there. And so you have to accept the cost of your goals or your targets. That's why we're so firmly talking about our values and being intrinsically motivated, because that's going to help you persist longer than anything else. That's going to give you the self-discipline and the willpower to keep you moving, rather than if you're just only extrinsically motivated by rewards. And so what's the price you have to pay? You have to write that down and understand what that is, because are you willing to pay it? Are you willing to pay it? Are you willing to sacrifice that, to pay the price, to accept the cost of your goals? Hopefully, yes, because you're worthy of that. You're capable of that. You're absolutely enough to go and chase your dreams and to reach your fullest potential. So what do you need to cut off if you're willing to accept that price? What does it look like to pay it out daily? What does it look like to pay it out daily? So those are very important questions we have to ask and answer as we move on this target, as we move on this path of literally becoming the best version of ourselves in greatest service to the world. And then you come up with hope. Hope is another huge thing when we're thinking about reaching our targets or having self-discipline or persisting over the long haul. Because you can get there from here. Awareness, acceptance, action. You can get there from here. We're aware, we accept this is our starting point, and all of this stuff we're talking about today is action. Here is the present, in which some ways, I guess, is less desirable than our imagined future. There is the target of longing, and you are the one moving yourself from here to there. We expect something from the future and also from ourselves. In our minds, our beliefs firm up links between ourselves and the future, priming people for hope, People do this by setting high expectations about the future, right? Somewhat tempered in reality, of course, and then acting on them. Action, action, action. All of this whole episode is great, but if you don't do anything about it, it's never going to change. You have to do the thing. You have to do the thing. Nothing is doing the thing except for doing the thing. And so we talk about hope. Hopeful people share core beliefs that set them apart from others. And you can be a hopeful person. You can be an optimistic person. I've never met a high achiever or an elite performer who wasn't optimistic. What's optimism? Optimism is the fundamental belief that things will work out for the best through the appropriate energy, effort, and attention. Those optimistic people are also hopeful, and they share these core beliefs that set them apart. Two of them are the future will be better than the present, and most importantly, action-oriented. I have the power to make it so. And then there are three primary aspects of making that happen. Here they are, right? What we've been talking about this whole episode, goals or targets. You need to have a future there that fires you up. Second one, agency. You need to believe that you have the power to make that future a reality. We talked about self-trust and confidence. That's agency. And then pathways. One of the most important things to understand here is that you need to know that there are a bunch of ways to reach your goal, aka you can go from here to there, and that none of those paths, not a single one of those paths, will be free of obstacles. None of them. There'll be challenges. There'll be setbacks. You'll get knocked down. You'll get punched down. You'll think, I can't do this. Should I do this? That's why getting as concrete and real and honest as possible about your goals, who you are, and how you're going to get there is extremely important. Because then when you hit a speed bump or you hit an obstacle, you're not surprised. You expected it to happen, and you spiral up and you spiral up. And you take that obstacle and you allow it to make you stronger. One of the most important mantras we can identify with and adopt into our life is OHMS. Obstacles make me stronger. Obstacles make me stronger. So we have goals or targets, we have agency, and we have pathways. That's hope in a nutshell. That's hope in a nutshell. And hopeful people are very, very, very likely to reach their goals or targets because they understand that they're going to persist through almost anything, and they're just not going to give up when things get hard because they've made that pre-commitment. You can be the same. You can be the same because we are teleological, right? Telos equals ends or targets or goals, and we need to be aiming at something, right? Happy people have projects. Hopeful people have projects. We have targets, something that we're aiming at, something that we're moving in the right direction for. That's what this is all about. So goals are important for hope, and hope is important for our targets. It all works together, and it all makes sense. Then we think about this word prosperity, which falls in line with everything that we've been talking about. Prosperity comes from the Latin root, which literally translates according to hope, or to go forward with hope. That's what prosperity means. Prosperity does not mean I'm rich. It means to go forward hopefully. Thus, it is not so much a condition in life as it is an attitude toward life, right? It's not a condition towards life. It's an attitude towards life. I'm prosperous. Prosperity, to go forward with hope. The truly prosperous person is what psychologist Rollo May calls the fully functioning person. Prosperity. The word literally means to go forward with hope. It is not so much a condition of life as it is an attitude towards it, because all of this, everything we're talking about, is an endlessly evolving process. As in, we need to embrace the fact that a good life and every project, thing, and relationship within that good life is an endlessly evolving process. Endlessly, as it will never end, ever, until we take our last breath, ever. There's no exoneration for you, my friend, no matter how good you get at all this stuff, no matter how many accolades or whatever you get, there is no end, ever. There's no exoneration from the work. You have to do the work every day and evolving. The whole point of life is to actualize our potential, aka to evolve into the next best version of ourselves, making our prior best our new baseline. How long does that last? Endlessly. It's endlessly evolving. And then the process. It's all one big flowing process, which is why if we want to love life, we better fall in love with the process of evolving endlessly rather than obsessing about and getting attached to the outcomes, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. That's what endlessly evolving process is. That's what this life is. And it's beautiful because we're endlessly evolving while we continuously fall in love with the process. And so all of this, everything we've talked about, really boils down to wishing versus deciding. Wishing versus deciding. The key difference, when we decide, we get clear on what we want and we get clear on the price we'll need to pay. Then we get busy paying it every single day. So we must create systems to get there. So right now, are you wishing for this goal? Or are you deciding that you're going to go after this goal? We obviously need goals or targets, but we should word glue them together so we have goal systems or system goals, right? Process. If all we're doing is chasing a goal, we're constantly going to be losing because the goal is always some far off spot that we may never reach. On the other hand, when we figure out our systems, we are constantly winning every single time we successfully execute the system. That's why I talked about things that are inside of your control. Your systems, your processes are inside of your control. So we're constantly winning if we execute that system each and every day. For example, if you're trying to lose 20 pounds, you have a goal. Eating right is a system. Trying to run a 5-hour marathon is a goal. Exercising every day is a system. A system is something you do on a regular basis that increases your odds of happiness in the long run. If you do something every day, it's a system. If you are waiting to achieve it someday in the future, it's a goal. So again, yes, we have that massive transformative purpose. We have that goal in the future. We have that target that's guiding us. We know we're driven by our values. But every single day is about our systems and our processes because that's what's in our control and that's what's going to move us in the right direction. That's why I use Target and I have clear targets each day that are in my control that become my system or my process that always brings me closer to my MTP or my wildly important target or my massive transformative purpose or my North Star or whatever you want to call it, right? Because leadership guru John Maxwell has a great way to describe systems as well. He says that systems are good strategies repeated. Good strategies repeated. That's also why we're daily and weekly reflecting on well, better, how. What systems are working, what are not, how can I improve? This is what I'm doing great at. Fuck yeah, let's keep moving in the right direction towards the thing that I value and want most. So, to wrap this up, to wrap this whole episode up, this masterclass on goal and target setting. What do you really want? And more importantly, what are your systems that will get you there? So here's to you and optimizing your system, process-driven, perpetual, small wins creating machine. I absolutely believe in you and your capabilities to achieve whatever you want in this world and becoming the absolute best version of yourself in greatest service to the world. So thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. If you found it valuable at all, please share it with a friend. I really think this episode can help out a lot of people, and I appreciate you very much, and I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Cheers. Thank you very much for tuning into that episode. And if you enjoyed it, click right here for another full-length episode of the podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe. But most importantly, above all else, please take good care of yourselves and others. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Cheers.